What's up guys? Today I filmed my first peaking workout of my strength phase for my deadlift. Really, I'm not gonna lie, I really didn't want to film today because when I was chasing a 700 squat 2 blocks ago before I got 716, I really heavily backed away from my deadlifting as someone who's built really poorly to deadlift to spare some fatigue and allow me to handle extra volume on the squat. Which worked wonderfully. It allowed me to squat that 716, which at the time was a 30-pound PR. So it worked perfectly, but lo and behold, my deadlift strength regressed significantly, which was okay. That was a deliberate choice that I made that I don't regret in the slightest, because 700 was a goal I had been chasing for a while, and if that was what was necessary to get it out of the way, I found it to be pretty solid. But that being said, my numbers are down significantly. So, you know, my massive ego stops. Like, I really didn't want to film this session, but I figured that was pretty hypocritical, because I always talk about wishing that YouTube channels would document a more realistic experience of the training process rather than just a highlight reel. And I was like, okay, well, the reason I don't want to film this is exactly why I should probably be filming it. For those that don't follow me on Instagram, I have deadlifted 765 bare hand sumo, and I have deadlifted 745 in straps conventional. So, you know, I'm not there right now, which is okay, and I'm building back up to it, but definitely a little hard on my ego. So today's top set was a double at 655, which moved okay, but nowhere near how easily I could have done it in the past. But we're getting back up to that. I anticipated taking probably about 2 training blocks to get back to where I was, and then just chip away, resuming building up all 3 lifts at once, assuming I don't need to back off anything to, you know, hit another goal that I have in mind. There wasn't much I didn't film today because I didn't do much because it's a peaking phase. My warm-up that I didn't film for my deadlift days is very simple. I ate my pre-workout meal, which is consisted of some like meat, rice, salt, and I drank a coconut water just because it's a very easily consumed source of a lot of potassium. And then I went for a walk. That's most of my warm-up, right? So I went for a 15-minute walk, just trying to raise my core body temperature a little bit, get my hips moving, you know, stretch out my hip flexors a little bit, wave my arms around, make sure that I'm able to externally rotate my underhand, because I lost that mobility a little bit when I was pulling the straps, lo and behold. And then I came in and I did, I believe, 6 sets of 5 at 135 until I felt warm. Basically, I've boiled down my deadlift warm-up quite a bit. I found through trial and error that I could drop just about anything that was in my pre-deadlift movements, and it didn't have any negative impact on my readiness to lift. So I was like, okay, well, then all of these things are unnecessary, right? I used to do a bit of mobility, I used to do a bit of core activation, I used to do like the McGill Big 3, and I did like bracing drills. And I was like, you know what the best bracing drill is? Repeating this weight that I like, repeating a really low scale version of the thing I'm trying to warm up and really focusing on the technical aspects that I'm trying to get ready for. So rather than do some like pullovers to get my lats like good at pulling in the weight, I just pull in the weight. And I repeat it until I feel the form is good and that my core body temperature is up, and then I started loading weight. This has allowed me to condense a lot more practice reps into a single training session than I was doing historically, and has allowed me to improve my form faster than it was improving before, because I'm doing more reps with the sole focus on improving technique. And like, the more times you do something, the more times you expose yourself to the motor pattern, the better like mental handle you're going to have on it. So that's been very good for me. I'll include the rest of the clips, work my way up, hit some light snatch clips afterward. And the only thing I didn't film was I did 3 sets of 1-minute front planks at the end, which I didn't bother to film. But that is the whole workout. You'll see that's pretty devoid of accessories. And I've gotten to the point where now I feel I'm strong enough that I really do need to taper off my accessories in a training peak. Not even just for peaking for a meet, you're gonna drop your accessories. But I've always kind of insisted that, you know, newer level lifters, if you're doing like a soft peak in training, you probably should keep some peripheral background level of volume so that you can be growing at all times, because the biggest difference between you and an advanced lifter is probably just some muscle mass. So taking time off growing probably isn't the best approach to becoming long-term good. If you're spending 3 out of every 9 weeks in this really low volume training, it's probably not ideal for your long-term development, though it might work really well for your max that block. I'm more interested in developing with time. But nowadays, I think that I'm posing such a significant stimulus with my main work that I do really need to back those off for just like the last 2 to 3 weeks. So that's kind of where I'm at. Let me know if you like the video.
Okay, so here's the voiceover portion. Here was the last of my warm-ups at 135. I added an extra one. Didn't quite do the full 5 reps I was doing on the other one, just kind of show what I was doing with my warm-up. Switched the 45 out for the 100. Really just focusing on getting my head up a little bit more than I have historically, and so far so good. The main reason I'm pulling conventional, because several people have asked, is I guess I have 2 reasons. The primary reason is because I intend to do strongman one day, and I'm sure I would regret if I put all of my time into my sumo deadlift if I then had to transition to conventional. So building a strong conventional is something that's important to me, though I could probably succeed in pulling 800 a reasonable bit quicker sumo, because it's always worked well for me. My massive ego tells me to do conventional because it looks cooler. Here is, I believe, my last warm-up at 6:15. Felt pretty good. Best it's moved this block. And then here was, I believe, my top set at 6:55 for a double for the day. I did 6:35 for 2 last week. I think the difficulty was somewhat comparable, so up 20 pounds without dropping a rep. Went pretty well. Back down to 425 on these snatch grips. Despite how I'm making them look, these are a fairly easy weight for me. I probably have done about 150 pounds more for triples. Just kind of keeping moving. I really back off of the variations as well as the accessories when I enter the peaking phase. Just trying to get through the main work and have as little fatigue as I can.